All right, today we're diving into a theory that's, well, it's pretty out there and definitely provocative. What if the history we've all been taught isn't a record of what happened, but something else entirely?
So let's just start with this one question, a question that really challenges everything we think we know. It's asking us to stop seeing history as this story that just unfolded and to start seeing it as a system that was actually built. And if it was built, well, it can be analyzed, it can be deconstructed, and maybe, just maybe, it can be hacked. And that brings us right to the heart of this idea, history hacking. Now, let's be super clear. This isn't about saying events didn't happen, not at all. It's about looking at the structure of the story itself, treating the past not like some sacred text you can't touch, but more like a massive data set, one that might be full of glitches, weird patterns, and maybe even some hidden code.
Okay, so let's get into the first method, what the source material calls structural analysis. You can think of this as searching for the algorithm, the hidden logic that might be running inside the official story we all know.
The core idea here is pretty simple. Real history is messy. It's chaotic. It's unpredictable. So a constructed history might just give itself away with patterns that are, frankly, a little too clean, a little too perfect, maybe even too mathematical to have just happened randomly. This method is all about scanning historical data, like lists of kings, for those kinds of impossibly neat sequences.
Now take a look at this. This is the prime example the theory uses, the German king list. For over 400 years, the succession of kings supposedly follows this perfect repeating pattern. You see it labeled there as KHXH. But get this, on top of that, you have 3 totally separate dynasties, and each one lasts for exactly 113 years. The theory basically says the chances of something this precise happening by accident are, well, they're astronomical.
And this quote just nails the whole point of this first method. According to the theory, that kind of perfect symmetry isn't a coincidence. It's a fingerprint. It's a sign of deliberate design. It suggests the story wasn't just recorded, it was literally programmed.
So let's see how this whole idea builds with the next 2 methods. We're going to move from looking at structural patterns to hunting for hidden numerical codes that, allegedly, link this entire historical system together.
All right, so according to this theory, this number you're looking at, 529, is not random at all. It's presented as a kind of master key, a chronological constant that was used in the actual construction of the timeline. It's like a numerical anchor point. So how is this number supposed to be used? Well, the proponents claim that the start dates of these huge ancient eras, we're talking the Greek, the Roman, the Jewish calendars, they can all be figured out using simple math formulas that have 529 as a key ingredient. And the implication there is pretty huge, that these civilizations weren't developing independently, but were designed as part of one big unified system. And here's the other key number from the source. This one is described a little differently. It's not a chronological constant, but a master narrative constant. This one is all about the stories themselves.
This slide, it really illustrates the claim perfectly. The theory points to these so-called parallels. Charlemagne's role is presented as a precise echo of Julius Caesar, exactly 800 years earlier. And the same thing is claimed for Augustus and Charles V, separated by a perfect 1600 years. That's 2 cycles of 800. The suggestion is that history isn't just rhyming, it's literally repeating and on a fixed schedule.
Now, the third method, Gematria, takes us a whole step further. It proposes that history was deliberately written to mirror numerical codes hidden inside sacred texts. The idea is that by embedding these holy numbers into a dynasty's timeline, you could give rulers this kind of divine preordained legitimacy. So, for example, using this ancient system of Gematria, where letters also have number values, the very first verse of the Bible, Genesis 1:1, adds up to 2701. Now, proponents of the theory say that number isn't random. It breaks down neatly into 2 prime factors, 37 and 73. And here's where the supposed link comes in. These 2 specific numbers, 37 and 73, then allegedly show up over and over again systematically in the lengths of reigns, in the lifespans, in the key dates of the entire Merovingian dynasty in France. The suggestion is that their history was literally written to fit this sacred code.
All right, so our next method moves beyond just numbers. This one is looking for entire stories, whole narrative arcs that seem to have been, copied and pasted across time. This is what's called historical mirroring. The method searches for these detailed, one-to-one parallels between completely different historical periods. It argues that a single, respected story template, a lot of times from the Bible, was used as a direct script to build the history of a later kingdom. Why? To legitimize it, to make it seem like the true successor to God's chosen people.
And the main example from the source is pretty startling. It claims the history of the early Frankish Empire is a direct mirror of the biblical history of ancient Israel. I mean, as you can see on the slide, the theory maps them one-to-one. Pepin the Short is the founder, mirroring Saul. His son, the legendary Charlemagne, is the great conqueror, mirroring King David. And his son, Louis the Pious, mirrors King Solomon, the pious successor. And this alleged parallel, it doesn't just stop with the rulers. The claim is that even major political events follow the script. The famous division of the Frankish Empire at the Treaty of Verdun is said to perfectly mirror the earlier division of Israel into two separate kingdoms. It's as if one history was used as a literal blueprint for the other one. Okay, our final method. This one challenges the very anchors that hold ancient history in place. Astronomical events. Specifically, we're talking about solar eclipses that were recorded in ancient texts. So here's the basic idea. To know exactly where an ancient eclipse was visible from, scientists have to account for the fact that the Earth's rotation has been slowly changing over time. This correction factor is called delta T. The problem is, for the distant past, its precise value isn't a sure thing. It's basically an educated guess. This method challenges that guess. It recalculates ancient eclipse paths without using these, what it calls, speculative adjustments. And the most dramatic example they cite is the Peloponnesian War. It is firmly dated to the 5th century BC, mostly based on eclipses recorded by the historian Thucydides. But, according to this theory's redating, those specific eclipses were not visible in Greece back then. The recalculated data suggests they were actually visible in the 7th and 8th centuries AD. I mean, that is a potential discrepancy of over 1,100 years. So, what does all this mean? I mean, when you take them all together, this theory proposes that these 5 methods aren't just some weird analytical tricks, but a powerful new lens for looking at and questioning our entire understanding of the past. And here they are, all together, a 5-step toolkit for interrogating the official story. You've got finding the algorithm, finding the numerical anchors, decoding the sacred blueprint, spotting the copied template, and finally challenging the celestial clock. It's really a systematic approach to looking for the glitches in the matrix of the past. You know, ultimately, the goal of a theory like this isn't to give you all the answers. It's to empower you to ask new questions, to encourage you to analyze patterns, to question dates, and to look for the seams in the story we've all been told. And it leaves us with one final provocative thought. If the past really is a puzzle, maybe these are the tools we need to finally start solving it.